quiet quitting.
Okay, yes. What is?
It's basically where you are working a job.
Okay.
And you're kind of over it. So you do the bare minimum. Just enough to not get fired, but not enough to, like, be noticed or be promoted. Or
How is that quitting?
Because you take you and me, who go above and beyond the Call of Duty,
right?
Not the game. And, we do things to that improve the livelihood of not just us, but the other members of our team, respectively.
Okay.
And, but then you have other people on the same team, and they just go through the motions. And they basically are like looking for a reason to leave, but they don't outright want to quit.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you get fired, depending on your state, that
It could be bad or something.
Well, if you get depending on your state, if you get fired, you could file for unemployment. Okay. Whereas if you quit, that was your decision.
Right.
So I need you to fire me. But I don't really. No. I don't want to cause a ruckus. Uh-huh. But I don't care enough to do anything. So I'm just going to come in, clock in, and then do my thing, and then clock out.
Now, do that whole thing with like the unemployment thing, like, is that their plan, or is it just because what you're describing, at least everything up until that point, it sounds just like coasting. Like it's just like I'm just kind of doing my thing, and like I feel like that's just. I mean, I can't speak for everyone, and this obviously doesn't apply to everyone, but it just feels like they're like work light bulb isn't really that bright right now. Like it's just kind of like I need a job, I need to pay bills. You asked me to do XYZ, and you're going to get XYZ. Especially like depending on what they're paid, like maybe they're paid not enough to warrant like above and beyond.
And if anybody has had these positions that I'm going to use as examples, I'm not talking down about them, but I'm just using them because they're just kind of low-hanging fruit. If you are a kid that your first job is at a Target or a Walmart or even a Costco, and your job is to collect all the carts in a good amount of time, and let's just say all the carts should be, wrangled within a half an hour, but hey, I'm collecting the carts. Took me longer than that, but I still did what you wanted me to do. I'm not doing my job. I'm doing my job, which was collect the carts. Like, no, your job was to collect the carts within the half an hour. Okay, well, I collected as much as I could. There were more carts. You should hire more people. That's not my fault. I am not going to run out there in traffic just to get it under a half an hour. I did what I could. Whereas me, I'm a little bit of a suck up. I will run. I will collect all the carts. Oh, there's more carts. I will go get those carts. I will go get the cart that is in the other. I'll go get the carts that's in the other parking lot. That is a Target parking lot, and I'll bring it back to the Costco parking lot. Like that's the kind of person that I personally am. But
okay. Let's say it adds an extra 10 minutes collecting carts. Honestly, like, my initial reaction is, well, which one is true? Like, is it true that they were working, like, walking around, grabbing carts, that kind of thing, not sprinting after them, but like doing the thing the whole time, and genuinely, like, there was too many carts, and like, okay, they're either labor needs to go up or something has to change, or was it they're just like, kind of meandering, like whatever.
I think the issue is that this is like a common thread.
Right.
Like if I were to do this is a one-off situation, like everyone has those days.
Yeah.
But I'm saying a quiet quitter is someone that just, they see the opportunity to do better at their job and they don't. And they have no drive to do better. And if they did better at their job, there's potential of raise, potential of better hours. We could talk about potentiality till the cows come home. But there's a positive in there.
Okay.
There's also more responsibility, maybe. But they're just like, I really don't care.
Okay.
But I can't afford to quit. So, and maybe unemployment isn't part of the equation, but they just cannot afford to quit.
Right.
but they're not. It's like being a team player, but you're just on. You're
absolute bare minimum, no going above and beyond. Yeah. I see. I don't know.
To be clear, I don't think that you're a bare minimum kind of guy. Like there are aspects of your job and even my job where there are obviously sometimes where it's like kind of droning.
Yeah.
But overarching of what you do in your position, you do go above and beyond.
I'd agree with that. I'd hopefully agree with that. No, I don't know. I'm struggling to stay out of the nuance of just like, well, what's the job? What's the situation?
Yeah.
What's the
And also, Nano brings up a good point, too. It also depends on state, because Ohio is a right-to-work state, so quiet quitting is a big thing over there, apparently.
a right-to-work state? Aren't we a right-to-work state? Yeah, Utah's a right-to-work.
Utah's a right-to-work
I know the
state,
term.
too. Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah. I don't know. I'm torn because on the, like, I mean, I'm just going to word vomit here. Like, on the one side, like, if it's a low-paying job and it's a low, like, like a just blah job, like I don't want to like insult anyone, but it's just like you're a Smith's just worker and you just stock the shelves. Like nothing wrong with that, but it's just like trying to think of the most that is your job. Be like end and be all is like that is your job.
Okay.
If you are told meet these requirements and you meet these requirements, I don't feel like there's a problem there. There's going to be other people in your role and like they're going to get, the promotions, the raises, all those things before you. And like that's on, I feel like the managers to be like, hey, what motivates you? Like what's going on? Do you not like, is this just a job to you? Which in certain situations you can say like, hey, yes, it is. Or no, it's not. And I want like when I worked at TJ Maxx, that was just a job to me. Like, I was a supervisor, but like I didn't have a drive to be better at TJ Maxx. I had a drive to leave.
Oh, okay.
I had a drive to put my eggs somewhere else, right? And so like
Did you let them know that when you got the position?
No, I'm not dumb.
Did you start as a supervisor there?
No.
Okay.
No,
so, So you did work your way up.
The way I would describe it is like, I need this amount of hours, this amount of pay. How do I get to this level so I can survive while I work towards other goals? I need to get to supervisor. Okay, I will meet that goal. I met that goal. Mission accomplished. I can now focus even more towards the other things. I'm going to continue meeting this level and stay here and be and like not have any problems, not cause a ruckus or anything. But I'm going to just do that while I focus on other things.
But it's not like. Did you have any pride in the job that you did? Clearly not.
Well, I'm struggling to define the word pride. Well, because it's like was I proud of my work? It's like I stood by my work, but like it wasn't like I was trying to like fundamentally change and try to like really push and like do whatever. Like I know what I could have done more there.
Okay.
And it wasn't worth it to me because it was like, this is not somewhere I'm going to be. This is not somewhere where I want to be. You don't pay me enough to do those things.
Okay.
So I'm not going to put that effort in. Like, I'm going to make sure the people that I am supervising are having a good time. I'm going to try to keep like morale up and stuff because these people are my friends and my coworkers. So I'm going to try to make sure their life is good, but I'm not going to try to improve like the business because this isn't what I want to be doing.
So the problem that I have with quiet quitters is that you have a job that you clearly do not want to be here for, but you're not doing less enough that I can fire you for it because you're doing your job.
Yeah.
I can't fire you for anything because the things that we're asking you to do, you're doing it.
I feel like that's fine to a certain degree.
And to me, that's not fair.
What do you mean by fair?
There are so many other people out there that need a job and would put their best foot forward with a smile and do it well and get better and maybe not change it fundamentally, but the overall work environment could get better because we're taking negative Nancy out of the situation and put positive Patsy back in. Like,
okay, well, like you're adding like something into the equation though, and that's in what you just said. You're taking away negative Nancy. Are they negative? Like that's
a quiet quitter is negative to me. You are 100% negative because I'm like, hey, how you doing? It's just another day. How many times do we go into a big retailer and he's like, hey, we go in there with our job, very happy, so happy. What's going on? Like, fucking here. I'm like, oh my God. Then don't be here. But they're not doing anything wrong. They can't quit. They have they don't have a pension or they don't have this or that. They have to have that job. I don't want them there. Okay. Because they are representing that section of the people. Yeah. I don't want them there. So if I can replace that person, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But you are dragging everybody else down with this.
But so in my opinion, you've added like another layer to this like equation. Because like I'm thinking of a person who's like, they're just neutral. Like they're not like, yeah, and they're not like, F this. They are neither of those things. They're just like, yeah, I'm having it. Like it's a good day.
Usually,
like,
a quiet quitter is leaning more toward
negative.
And
see that kind of changes things a little bit because if they are being an actual downer and kind of pulling people with them,
it's like unintentionally pulling.
That's like, another story.
I'm not trying to be a dick, but I'm also not going to go out of my way to be a good be a good employee.
Yeah, that kind of changes the equation a little bit to be like, hey, like you are affecting morale, and morale is something that needs to be up. It needs to be something that is measured and something that is good, right? Yeah. In a good business. And yeah, if you're affecting that, that's a different story.
But that's also something I don't think that someone can get fired for bad morale. They can get like written up for it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there's like even if you got enough write-ups if that's a fireable offense.
For me, my immediate thought process is I would like that would be talking to the person, being like, hey, like, what do I got to do to motivate you to kind of be here? If that doesn't work, kind of honestly look at rotating them down of like, hey, you were originally for big box retailer, you originally like one of the salespeople, we're going to rotate you down to night watch or something less with less people around you, both customer and employee. Like the less people, the better if you're going to be doing this. Mm-hmm. And in your scenario, I can't fire you. Yeah. For whatever reason, you're the boss's son. That's honestly where I would be looking of like, that's honestly where I'd look is like try to rotate them out of the situation that they're causing, because like, in my opinion, that kind of changes things a little bit of like, if you're affecting morale, that's an issue. If you're just kind of doing your job, you come in, you punch in, you got all your work done and you punch out and you're not going above and beyond, but you're getting the job done. It's what I'm paying you for. If we want to talk about raises and stuff and progressing and stuff, that's a different story. But like, especially like for more menial jobs, like I paid you to come in and press ABC, and every day you come in and press ABC. Why should I complain? You're not causing an issue with morale. You're not causing an issue with anyone.
See that
now here's the other question. Here's the other question is also, do I need people, like do I have a pool of people to pull from to move up? Like, is this a scenario where I have 15 people and like one of them is the quiet quitter and like they're kind of doing their thing and they're not really moving and they're doing their job, but they're just not rising up, and the other one, like I have others that are rising up and I've got a good feed that's going this way as well. Fine. But right. If also, like, let's say I have one person and I need them to go up and this person is not, that's a different story, because I need someone that can get to here and you're not doing that. And I'm willing to pay you for it and stuff, but I need you to get here.
Yeah, this is where all the nuances get a little bit...
Right, and then this is where it gets hard, but it's like, if depending on the scenario, it's like if I have a team and there's just a couple people that are just kind of like, they do their job, they do it well, but they're nothing to write home about, but I have people to like move up, I'm going to try to help these people, but like my eggs are going to be in these guys that are actually doing the thing.
It's very interesting, the outlook of even remedial jobs that you and I have had in the past and how we view them. And I've always been told and brought up in such a way that no matter what the job is, if you are a shit shover, you shovel that shit the best way that anybody can.
Mm-hmm.
And you do it better than the next guy. Probably the most mundane job that I had as a temp was during the holiday seasons. Nordstrom had their annual shoe sale.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, almost 3,000 customers came through that shoe section at Nordstrom. And all my job was wrangling the shoes, put the stuffing back in, make it look nice, and put it back into the back, and then somebody else would file it away correctly. That was the most boring, tedious job ever, where I was a young single guy watching all these beautiful women try on clothes and shoes, and I don't know, I thought maybe I could, like have a meet cute with one of them. I don't know what I was thinking, but I was like this, I could do so much better. But in my view, I put both feet forward because it was less about doing so well at this job. It was more about getting a recommendation for a better job. And so that's why I was like, I don't care if you were asking me to do the thing that no one wants to do. If you're asking me to do it, I'm going to do it so freaking well.
No, I like Nano's response, though. Is it a job or is it a career? It's like, from a management's perspective, do you need people that need a job or do you need people that need a career?
I read that earlier, and that's kind of like got my thing rolling too. And it doesn't matter to me whether it's a job or a career, a summer job, or you just helping out.
Oh, I got it back. Okay.
Like whatever it is, if you're being asked to do something, do it 110%. And I know that's a corny thing to say, but do it. Like, what is the worst that could happen?
Not necessarily the worst that can happen, but especially in jobs where it's just a job, right? It's just your job is to come into every day and press the literal letters ABC on a keyboard and leave, right? And you're going to go above and beyond. It's like, if you died tomorrow, they'll have you replaced in a day. Not even a week, a day.
That's fine.
So why should you kill yourself over this job? Like, why should you give... No, listen, hear me out. Why should you give not just 110%? Because 110%, a lot of people are like, hey, you gave 110%, you're doing great on the job. There is a mental and sometimes physical toll in that scenario. Let's talk like construction or something. Like, you give 110%, like you're working longer hours, you're working harder, you're tiring yourself more.
Well, you have union in there too, so probably not. But
we're kind of eliminating that. Like, sorry, union, we're gonna put a little like shroud over you for just a second. Yeah,
tape it up.
We'll bring you back. Just give me a second. Give me a second. In this scenario, you don't exist. It's like the unions, like we can't not exist in hypothetical scenarios as part of the union code. Anyway, I don't believe in killing yourself over a job. And the lower, like when a job is paying, like if your job responsibilities are measured in just a scale, and it's just your responsibilities are here and your pay is here, and you can constantly like push this kind of thing this way. It's worth pushing. It's worth giving that 110% because you're always ticking upwards of like your responsibilities go up, but your pay is matching. You feel great about it. Great. Awesome for you. But if the scales are not following that, and it's like you're busting your butt for barely anything, and like you could bust your butt more and maybe you could bring this up a little bit, but you're busting your butt more in your scenario shoveling shit. Like you're shoveling even more and wearing yourself out more.
I've got 2 shovels now.
Yeah, you're double fisting it, just going to town.
Double fisting shit.
Yeah. And you're like, I can work my butt off and get a little bit more. It's not worth it for one, like in my world. Okay. And then 2, the other thing is like, I feel like, and this is maybe a little bit more nuanced, but maybe like is the company going to pay them? And is there room for growth in these scenarios? Because if there is, like, okay, whatever, but like,
so
is it worth it? Is it worth killing yourself to work harder at this
I'll
job?
tell you why it's worth it.
Okay.
So I don't want anybody to kill themselves mentally or physically for a job that might not even know their name a day later. I'm not looking for that. What I'm looking for is someone to have pride in their work. So when I ask you later on, hey, how was work today? You can say, oh, it was really good. Whereas most of the time when someone asks that, unless something really good happens, their answer is, it was work.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that response. What? Then stop doing that job. Or, and I know this is easier said than done, have pride in it, figure out something in that job that makes you excited and do that. Then when someone asks you how work was, yes, it is work. It's not that, your hobby becomes, it's no longer work because you love it. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking that you take pride in it, in those arduous hours of doing the thing that a week ago you used to hate, you now love because it's created, I don't know, another goal or another insight that that before you weren't able to see. We have the responsibility to ourselves, being on this earth for a limited time, to make the best of the situations that we put ourselves in.
Right, but the missing piece right there is, what is your priority? What is your happiness? What's your best? Because your best might not, like, your best might be career focused and be like, I want to be the head of
the very best.
I want to be the very best, like no one ever was. To catch them is my real test. To train them is my cause.
Is my cause, yeah.
Anyway, no, if that's your goal, that's great.
Travel.
But cross the land. No, stop! Go! Appealing to my ADHD brain. That's just like, searching far and wide. Anyway, that might be your goal, but it might not be someone else's.
I just feel like everybody, and again, maybe I'm just oversimplifying it, but I just feel like everybody can find something in the thing that they're doing to enjoy, or at least to strive for. There is
but you're talking in like a business aspect, right?
No,
but we're sticking with a business aspect.
I'm talking about okay, sure, yes, business, but also like, I hate doing paperwork.
Okay.
But if I can do this paperwork, I know how to use Excel now, and my next job, I will be the Excel guy. And now I'm the Excel guy at my next job.
Congrats.
And that has been my thing, but I'm getting real stuck, and I'm kind of getting bored with being the Excel guy. Like, okay, well, let me program something else within Excel, but it's going to have me learn some actual computer programming. Going to learn that. And it's not job related, it's lifestyle related. It's things that you can apply to your life and to your home environment, and you can take those skills and apply them elsewhere.
Right. But the thing that I'm kind of focused on is, like, you're talking about a lot of jobs that have like options to build separate skill sets and stuff. Whereas, like, there are situations where a job doesn't have that. A job doesn't have, like, you obviously, I would say any job is going to build skills, right?
Yeah.
But there's going to be some jobs more than others that are going to have like a wider bandwidth for different skills to build off of versus others.
I mean, you used the example earlier of someone stocking shelves. Someone that's a shelf stalker can go and create their own marketing company.
Yeah.
But
that's their prerogative outside of work. We're talking about like within their own job where they would be doing the quiet quitting thing.
But by doing the job the best they can and learning why you are stocking it the way that you're stocking it, maybe ask questions. Why are we putting the ravioli here and the mac and cheese up there? Why is the planogram asked for that? Manager probably doesn't know, but find someone who does know. Like, Give me a scenario and I'll see if I can rebuttal it. Like
I mean, I'm going off of the one you just gave. Like it just depends on their prior. Like, what is their prior? Like, that's again a question. Like, I feel like that kind of falls to management of just like, one, do you need people who need a job or people who need a career?
I think you're right.
Go ahead.
Management does need to be better leadership.
Yeah,
it definitely there is responsibility on the company, whether it's a big company or a small company. There is a responsibility on them to check in and to make sure, are you the right person for this particular job? Maybe you are better as a night watch person because you are a night owl or whatever the answer is. But if you have no other options, there's no growth right now. There's no other department in the store. No other store is hiring, and you're not going to do a work from home like scam or anything like that. You have this job. Why spend 8 hours a day hating it? Why?
Well, that's again, that's different. It's slightly a different scenario. Like, are you just okay? So here's my thought process with that, of like, because you say hate, right? And it's like,
that's because the main topic of this is a quiet quitter, and a quiet quitter generally is not happy,
right,
with the job.
In a situation where they like are not happy and like are negative or something, like, again, I fall to management of like, they need to find the issue, isolate the issue, and figure out a solution, whether that be to move on or whatever, right? Promoted to customer. But like, it kind of falls to them of like, either find a way to motivate them or find something else for them if you need someone who is doing more than the bare minimum. If you need that growth aspect, if you need people to do that and you don't have a pool, and you need to not have like you need people to stay on this team and stuff, like it's I hate how nuanced it is, because I just want to give blanket answers. And
it's very nuanced, because as you were saying these things, and you're not wrong, I agree with some of them, but as you're saying this, I reminded myself, yes, it is up to the manager, but you are your own person, and generally speaking, you are an adult in this situation. You need to speak up for yourself.
Right.
You need to tell the manager, I'm not happy where I am, but I don't want to leave the company. I can't afford to leave the company. What else can I do? Like, do I have to do this? Because if I have to do this, if this is the only thing I have to do, I'll find something within it that I will like look forward to doing, or that I enjoy doing. It's easier said than done, but it's possible.
My thought process is twofold there, of like, even like, okay, talking about myself, like, I'm a quiet quitter and I am like, I'm considering talking to management, right? My initial thought process is like, well, what kind of management do you have? And I hate to bring it back to that, but it's like, are they going to be supportive and be like, hey, I understand, Tony, you're not enjoying this job. You're trying to find the love in it, but you're really just like, you're coasting because you just can't find it.
Or they just look at the number.
Yeah, you're just like, okay, and like, this is just a job, dude. Like, just get it done.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of work environment are they in? Like, it's hard to just blanket statement so many people.
You're not wrong. It is very much like the culture.
Right.
Like, we've been to certain retail environments where the culture is, there's very much supportive culture where it feels like a family, whereas the other side is just, you're just a number. You're just the guy clocking in and clocking out, and honestly, I couldn't really care less if you're here next week or not. If you are, cool, great. But if you're not, then you're not. Like, it's no skin off my back.
Yeah, like, great example. Great example is The Office, actually. When Michael is working at that call center.
Yeah.
And he's leaving, and he comes in and like, he's like, hey, this isn't working out. I'm like, he gives this whole speech of just like, hey, I'm going to move on with things, and I hope the best for you, and I hope the best for me. And the guy just responds, he's like, don't forget to disinfect your headset and leave it on the desk.
Yeah, you can come back anytime.
Yeah. Like, just, okay, bye. Like, whatever.
Right.
And it's like that kind of scenarios where it's like, I can't blame anyone working there for quiet quitting, because it's just like, there's no support. There's no culture to emphasize growth and stuff. And I feel like if you're in a job that doesn't emphasize those things, it's going to be really hard to self-motivate and be like,
Really
I'm
hard.
going to be the guy.
You said it.
Yeah.
It's really hard, but it's possible. It's 100% possible. Is it worth it? Maybe.
But it's possible for you.
Yes.
Someone who has that mindset and who has the
No,
gumption.
it is possible for anybody. I genuinely feel it is possible for anybody to pull up their britches.
Do you want a point of view from an owner of a company, please? Like, I'm going to answer for him. I'm
Oh
curious.
yeah, no, definitely. We'd love a point of view from you, Nano. I realize that my mentality on this is very much of an old school, like 1980s, pull up your britches and just get the work done, but do it with a smile. I get it, and I understand that with being aware of mental health issues, and it's a lot harder for more people to be able to do that and everything. But if you can address those, you can still do that with that kind of awareness of your own mental or physical limitations, whatever they may be. You can still get beyond that. Do you? Not right now, Nano. I thought you were. If you just want to type it in.
I don't think we have
we don't have
anything set up.
Yeah, we don't have anything set up for that.
If we did, we'd totally do it, but we don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if I genuinely, when I saw you send that message, I'm like, okay, how can we make this happen? And I'm like, no.
I don't, and I realize what I'm saying could be misconstrued as coming across as insensitive, and if it is, I'm sorry, but I do feel like everybody has the ability to be very excited about anything, and sometimes you have to be creative to be excited about things. I don't know, make it up.
Yeah.
Pretend that, and this is being very, very, I don't know, you would tell this to a kid that's working at a grocery store when they're 15. They don't want to do it. Like, pretend at the end of the week you'll be the owner of the company, and maybe that gets them to be very, very excited. And just the prospect of owning a multi-million-dollar business. Me and Nano Ninja says in the chat here, by the way, we do this live on Twitch, twitch.tv/LazyTechTony. Me and my partners noticed someone quiet quitting. We had to sit down with this person and had to really dig deep what their wants, needs, and desires were.
Okay.
That's awesome. And that is a great manager and a great owner, someone that actually really does care.
I'd be curious what happened at the end of that, because this is kind of what I was talking about, of like building that culture of like, hey, you're kind of coasting here. How can we bring you up? How can we make you grow? We want you to grow.
Because some people do need that extra kind of, like, I don't know what this was.
Kind of shove in the butt, like you're gonna just kill them.
No, but some people need that extra kind of like support or that push,
right,
from an outside source, but from a support point of view, not from an argumentative,
confrontational kind
of thing. I think my issue are people that vehemently won't even try to find the joy of their job. If you will not sit down to try to figure out what is enjoyable at your job, and you cannot tell me one thing that's enjoyable about your job, then I'm deeply sorry, but you're probably not at the right job. But also, there are going to be jobs with tasks that you're not going to like. Yeah. Like, you just have to, like, again, very insensitive, old school thinking, suck it up. I'm sorry. No, I know that has been kind of said not to say that anymore, but
when I hear of, like, because now that we've been talking about it, I've heard, like, I don't know if they've used the term quiet quitting, but I've heard of kind of people stagnating and coasting and stuff. And I'll get to your comment in just a second. My thought process whenever I see these kinds of things is like, well, what was the environment they were in? Because if, like, you're talking about, like, people can find their love for something in their job, and it's like, some people aren't that in that point in their life where they have the space for that. Like, especially when it's like an uphill battle of like everything's working against you and you have to fight and find it yourself. Like, some people, especially in like certain jobs and stuff, like they aren't there and they can't do what you're asking. Like, yes, somewhere in them that little fire is somewhere in them, but your fire is this and their fire is this, and that's okay. But they're not in an environment where this can grow. This little tiny little flame is just kind of dying because they don't have enough gumption to push through the muck that is their job.
Do you think at that point that it's linked to self-esteem?
I think there's a lot of things it could be linked to, but it's it's a really crappy situation for them to be in because they don't have any support to figure that out. Because they don't have someone to say, hey, what's going on? They don't have like the problem, they need to read the word problem is written out right here. And the word problem is here. And so all they can see is just colors, and they can't see the problem. Whereas they need someone to be like, how do we solve this? Here it is. How do we solve this? And they don't have the environment to do that. And so it really comes down to like an environment issue of just like, okay, well, what was the problem? And I'm not saying like everyone's like that, but I feel like overall, like whenever I see this kind of stuff, I'm always like, well, what's the whole story? Mm-hmm. Like what's their side? They're just stagnating in their job. What was their job? What was their pay? What was the environment? What was all of these things? Because if it's just a menial job and you're just stocking shelves at our big blue box retailer that is worldwide, maybe they're just like, I'm just a number and I'm treated just like a number. And I'm just working to live, because outside of work, I have passions and I have things. Inside of work, it's just to pay bills. I don't care about that. I only work because I have to.
Yeah, but you work.
Okay.
You work 8 hours a day with unhappiness, and you put your efforts toward your passion only 2 hours a week. Like, that seems wrong to me. That seems wrong. So, like, I'm not saying, like, oh, don't work 8 hours a day. I'm saying you can still... I'm simplifying this. I know. I'm trivializing this. I know. But if there is a way, if there is something, if there was a switch that you could find that joy, find that excitement, find whatever, that positivity during your job, and still do your passion, has nothing to do with your job at all.
Right.
You've just been more positive throughout your whole job day, hopefully, at least the majority of it or whatever, just more hours than before, and your passion.
I want to just get to the comment though. There was a lot of interpersonal communication that finally came to the surface. It wasn't easy, however, we finally got to the bottom of it. Being a veteran-owned company, there was a lot of deeper issues that were rooted as well. You have to bite down and get through the shit in jobs. I don't know what the end result, like are they still with your company? Did they end up like pulling through that kind of thing? If they did, it sounded like you gave them the environment to do that, and that's so awesome.
Yeah,
that's what I hope for everyone, and I hope the people that are in this situation, because I want to see the nuance with these people of just like, are you just a job because you have passions outside of work and you just work to pay bills and you have so much other going on? Are you stagnating at all entirely in life? Like, what's going on? Like, there are just always so many questions, because it's like, but it may, like, I don't know. Is that the above and beyond going for me as like someone who was a supervisor and was like, does do these things like for people of like, hey, like, how can I get you to be motivated? Did you
find yourself doing that for people as a soup?
Like once or twice. I was only in the position for...
Okay, but you did it.
Yeah.
Were you told to do it, or you just did it because you in your heart of hearts felt like, hey, this person looks like they're floundering?
I did it because someone wasn't like meeting the minimums. Okay. And I wanted them to like, I don't want you to get in trouble. You're on my team. I don't want you to get in trouble. So like, how can I build an environment that helps you? Yeah. Right. Which is one of my jobs, which was to build an environment that people could like not have morale. Like people, we want them to have morale. We want them to at least meet what the minimum expectations are. And if you're below that, then it's like, okay, how do we bring you up, or how do we bring up the negativity and stuff? How do we stop that, right? Because there was also negativity associated with it.
When you did that, and I don't know what the end result was, but when you did that and it came to a close, was it like, thank God that's over, or did you have a feeling of like accomplishment, like, hey, I made this person happier, or whatever? Because again, that's also quite nuanced.
Yeah, no, it definitely nuanced situation. The two different people were, the negativity was definitely a thank goodness that's over situation.
Okay. All right.
And then the performance thing was like, hey, like, all right, cool. Okay. Yeah. Like I took pride in, like, I take pride in my interpersonal skills. You'd never guess with our jobs. Like, so like I felt happy that I made someone happier. Okay. And made an environment that they are happy in. But again, that's the question for like the overarching, just like quiet quitting thing of, what are you doing? We moved them to a different position that suited them more. Now I can personally see the difference in the way they look at work. Okay, great. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, Nano has a culture in their business that supports people.
He has kind of the picture perfect situation of, if you see a quiet quitter and you're in a position of management, a position of leadership, instead of going with the negative of how could you be you don't know how lucky you have it. He goes the extra mile and like, what can we do to help you? Are you in the right position? Clearly you're not. Let's find a different position within the company that you might be better suited for. And that's great. Not every company's like that, and it's really awesome that yours was. Yeah. I feel like and we're not going to have any answers here at all. For the companies that are not like that and you have no other solution.
If I may, my initial reaction to that is just, I hope the people who are quiet quitting can at least realize that the environment is not good for them and can have the space to find something else.
That's what I was trying to conjure up. So thank you. Yeah. What he said.
Can you imagine what I said out of his mouth?
Okay, you talk.
All right. Now, I am Tony, and I am giving all the podcast rights to Quinnton McKinnon.
Well, I think this was a really good insight. And if any of you out there watching or listening have examples of quiet quitters, or you yourself are a quiet quitter and you don't mind telling us your side of the story, we actually have a call-in line on Anchor. So if you're...
Voicemail. Like, I don't want to... That sounds like you could join us live.
Right, yeah. Sorry.
It's a voicemail system.
We have a voicemail inbox system that you can call and leave us a message, and we'll listen to it live on air next week, because it's not live here.
Yeah. That does not have a live capabilities. We were not lying, Nano.
Yeah. We do not have live capabilities. I apologize. But Quinnton, thank you very much. That was
thank you.
Very insightful. Please keep the calls PG friendly. Yes. Yes. Thank you. No on any of these, whatever that is.
Sex noises.
Sexy time. For those of you who would like to follow us, you can find us on Instagram, Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, all the podcast catchers. As we mentioned earlier, we have a Discord where we have a podcast channel where you can talk about the things that we're talking about today. But if you'd like to follow us individually in a digital sense, Quinnton, how can people follow you digitally?
They can follow me.
There you go.
On Instagram and Xbox at Firewall.
You folks can find me at those places under Lazy Tech Tony. And we're going to get back on track with our schedule. But thank you so much for your patience, and we will see you in the next one. Later.
Bye, guys.
Hi.